Final Fantasy VII healed part of my inner child. What is going on, YouTube? We are talking today about a recent game that I completed, and it's just been inner peace, inner child healing stuff. Growing up, Final Fantasy VII was a huge part of my childhood. It was a distraction while my parents were going through a divorce, moving around from town to town because, you know, that's what happens. Making new friends and doing stuff, but this was always a crutch. This was always a staple in my childhood that kind of held everything together while everything was falling apart, you could say. It's kind of a deep conversation, but it was just the other morning when I finished the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is my sealed copy. I just wanted to keep one sealed. I was finishing it, and there was a final fight with Sephiroth. Now, as you know, this is definitely going to be in several different parts. This is not the whole game. 30-some hours into this one, and you just basically get out of Midgard, whereas the original Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation, it was only about 40 hours maybe to beat the whole game on 3 discs. So this is part 1. But while playing this, it was really moving and reminiscing and just remembering as a child going through some of these areas. You know, little 10-year-old Zach, you know, 25 years later, being 35 now, and going through some of this area and just remembering as a kid, discovering this stuff, you know, seeing Sephiroth for the first time, Cloud slowly starting to open up and have more emotions, whereas before it was just all about, you know, money or Gil or whatever, and just seeing Aerith, Tifa, Barrett, Red 13 for the first time, and remembering when I was a kid where I'd have, you know, sleepovers with friends, and my one buddy would come over and we sat there all night, stayed up till, gosh, I don't even know when, stayed up till early in the morning playing all night just to get out of Midgard, which, you know, is only 7 to 8 hours of the original game, but 30 going on here. So there's a bunch of side stuff. But the whole Cornelia thing, going up the tower in Midgard, facing off against Rufus, and all that other stuff just really made me, it just made me feel like I was young again. So as a lot of you know, I struggle with anxiety, I struggle with depression and stuff like that, which has been linked by my therapist to my childhood PTSD of, you know, my parents getting divorced and not knowing how to deal with it at the time as a kid, so I hid in video games. And actually a coping mechanism that I used for if stuff starts to get too hard is rubbing my hand in a pressure point like this and reminiscing of better times. And a lot of my go-to times is being a young kid playing like Final Fantasy, playing Breath of Fire, playing Super Mario, playing anything. And that really hits hard because people always talk about, you know, growing up and missing your childhood, and how everything with your childhood was linked, you know, to nostalgia, and that's why at this age we're buying all this crap. You know, how retro games and stuff like that took off was because it made us remember, you know, better times. So when I'm playing games like this, you know, and I picked this up as just a joke, but it's part of my childhood, essentially, is I talked about having the D-Make, I talked about having the Remake, and I am hoping to sometime here soon actually play again the PS1 version. I don't have a physical copy of it right now, but I do have the PlayStation Classic Mini, which does have the game on there, so you can have save states and stuff like that. But it was just, God, it was just like when I beat Sephiroth, or whatever version of Sephiroth in the Remake at the end before the final cutscene and stuff. It made me go back instantly to when I was younger and remembering facing him and being so like just pumped, just like adrenaline infused, and just couldn't believe my eyes, you know, especially when I thought I beat him and then all of a sudden it transformed in the one-winged angel Sephiroth, and hearing that epic orchestrated thing, and it brought me all back to that. And essentially, I did not beat Final Fantasy VII, the original, until my teenage years. When I was about 14 or 15, but I was playing it since I was like 10. And I never was able to beat One Wing of Sephiroth because I didn't know the importance of materia. I didn't know the importance of summons and stuff like that. I just basically knew the basics of the game and made my way there. But once I was old enough to understand, added elemental and how to actually breed a gold chocobo and get Knights of the Round, and then I just slaughtered Sephiroth, which was right there healing some of my inner childhood of my struggles with the game and how I sometimes struggles with completing stuff, and finally beating that, and it just filled a void because I always wanted to know what happened when you beat Sephiroth and when you do the final showdown with him and everything, and Cloud unleashes his final limit break and Sephiroth just destroyed, and the last minute you save the world and everything. It just filled a void, and beating the Final Fantasy Remake made me relive that. And it was a rush of emotions, nostalgia, and somewhat sadness, just because I know what happens later on in the game, and I'm excited for the remake parts. And it really made me mad too, because I feel like I didn't want to play the remake because I was worried that it wasn't going to live up to my standards. I hold the game on a very high pedestal, Final Fantasy VII, and some of the stuff with the remake I just felt like wasn't going to relive that. All the mini games and stuff like that. Now, not to say that this was a perfect game. There was times when I felt like it was drawn out. Like, we got to draw this out. We got to draw this out. Stupid little side quests. Stupid little dungeons that were taking longer than they needed to and everything. But like you said, you had to remember that it only took you 8 hours to get out of Midgard in the original. And obviously on a game like this, they can't put the whole huge world of Final Fantasy VII into this just one game. So they're going to work on that. They're going to push it through, and I'm excited for the future parts. But this video was just basically talking about, your struggles and mental health and stuff, and just how it was funny how a game like this could bring me back. And still, after all these years defeating Sephiroth, still feel like a part of my inner child that when I couldn't beat it then was healing. And I struggle with some of the stuff, completing stuff nowadays, because I do not like to watch stuff finish, I should say. I tend to sometimes with games get to the final boss area or some stuff like that and just be like, okay, I'm going to play something else. I'll come back to this, and just not wanting to finish stuff, because when it's over, it's over. So when I finally did that in my teenage years with my buddy, when we finally beat Sephiroth and stuff like that, it was kind of like, a warm aurora or whatever, just freaking aura pushing over me, and just like, it's done. And that was the same feeling the other morning when I stayed up a little later to finish the game, and didn't think I was going to be able to beat Sephiroth. I used my last healing item, and in the last minute I fought him, and I defeated him, and it was just relaxing. And then I will go back and play the original, like I said. It's still kind of like I'm talking about this, and the anxiety and the wrenching in my stomach. Sue just thinks about, God, do I really want to play through the original and face all that again, or do I want to, just maybe I'll play some other games, because right now I was really cruising through this one so I could start on a new game, which I'm playing Dark Souls 3 right now. And it was just like, I was like, oh, maybe I should just play some Dark Souls 3, and then when I get a little bit farther than that, I'll finish off Final Fantasy VII Remake. But that was just the whole childhood crap, trying not to finish something that I started because I didn't want to see it end. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of a little conversation and a little bit more about, me as a person, instead of just the YouTube channel and collecting games and eating hot stuff and eating weird stuff. This was just something more along the lines of how I developed, because I know a lot of you don't know some of the personal stuff. I don't like really talking about it too much, which is going to change in the future. I'm hoping on doing a video about video games and mental health coming up, and how people always associate video games with violence, and that's not really how it is. I mean, I can go on and on about it, but like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so proud and grateful of myself for being able to finish this. Someday, like I said, I want to get around to make fighting the little D-Make that they made and putting it in my Nintendo and working through that, and I was just very happy. So I thank you guys for watching. Comment below what you guys thought, and if you actually played this game and what it made you feel like, and if you have any similar video games like that from your childhood, that if you're having a rough day or you just feel like crap and you want to unwind or go back, what's a game that you guys play? So have a great day, guys. Peace.